All right, guys, welcome to the Northern Footy Show. We're back in the studio tonight away from the live shows. I have my normal rat bag co-host in Matthew Bonadeo, and we brought in a much classier football today in Phil Plunkett as our special host of it. Thanks for coming in, Phil.
Thanks for having me.
I understand there's a bit of a reunion to be had here between you and your mate, Matty. We generally have to apologise to people for knowing Bonners, but thanks so much for coming in and talking to us.
For half of my stuff there.
Well, I'm sure we're going to hear a couple of those stories through the night. Before you got here, though, Phil, he did say one of the toughest footballers I've ever played with. So he gave you a rap before you got here. But he did tell me he also cleaned up after you a fair bit. But anyway, Matty, you can take us through Phil's bio. No one knows this better than you.
Probably it's one of those things that bios doesn't tell a full story of the career that you've had. But Monty boy from back in the day, Parade College footballer and rat bag and one of the
best and fairest.
Yeah, best and fairest. Northern Knights inaugural team. And one thing that wasn't put in is that 1 year it was the actual Northern Bull Ants that year that the Northern under-18s took over Preston for a year. Yep. That was my final year of under-18s, but Preston Football Club captain, my first football captain in the VFL. And my favourite part was watching this man run around in the Fitzroy reserves with, was it number, I can't remember what.
High 40s.
Yeah, I thought it was early 50s, but we'll give you the high 40s. Yeah. And then captain of the Heidelberg Football Club back in the day.
It's not a bad introduction here.
I didn't captain.
No, coaching, I should say. Sorry. And the coach that you beat in the final is now the reigning coach at Heidelberg this year. So,
right.
And not to mention all the coaching gigs that you've had in the day. Take us through your coaching yourself. I know you've had your Old Paradians was that the last senior gig that you've had?
Oh, no, I'd had Lowell Plenty.
Oh, Lowell Plenty,
last year, yeah. So 2 years down there, which was great fun, and enjoyed that. I actually got into coaching. I was playing at Heidelberg, and a good mate of mine, Matty Lang.
Oh, yes.
Ran into me. We were trying to clean up Peter Dean at the time.
A brick wall.
Yeah. And so I've had to put my arm up as Matty's come flying through and broke my arm. And, it's sort of, I still hadn't finished with my football.
Yep.
And I thought, well, I can't really play with plates and screws and things in it. So I loved the environment and, got down into coaching. So that's how I sort of fell into the role. And, actually got offered the Eltham job and that next year. And I accepted it and then went home and went, what am I doing as a coach? What's my philosophy? What's my game?
What do I stand for?
Yeah. Slept on it, rang him back up the next day and said, sorry, I can't do this. I'm shitting myself. So I, went down to Mont and, did a bit of work under Matty Larkin.
Not a bad person.
He was he was down at the under-18s when I was there. He's actually one of the smartest football brains you'll hear about, and is well spoken even to these days. So with the younger guys, he was just amazing. Just the things that you'd sit there and you wouldn't even think about these things, and he'd just come through and say, look, you're even positioning it as a backman, he'd say, look, you're probably half a metre too close. So give himself half a metre, knowing that he's going to go the boundary. So little things like that under Matty Larkin was just an amazing person to listen to.
Did he shape your career, your coaching career, Phil?
He was a great mentor to bounce off. I did the board, so I was doing the rotations and then what the opposition were doing. So it sort of gave me a good insight on how to move the board around, move the magnets around, find, best options and if things weren't working to do it. So it was a great foundation for me to start it.
Something went well. You won the three-peat.
Yes, lucky.
2007, 2008, 2009, Heidelberg Football Club senior coach.
And I haven't heard the end of that from quite a few of these boys. So,
I reckon Vinny might tell you at the end of this year that's his goal as well. And we've had Vin on a few times. What an amazing coach and man he is.
Yeah.
But he's going for the three-peat this year, and it's going to be a tough year.
Oh, look, it's tough anytime, to win a premiership straight up's a great effort. So, and the Heidelberg Footy Club is something that I've known for years, is well run off the field, and that has a massive influence on what happens on the field. And my time down there's something that I'll always cherish.
Bonners and I.
That he got to like, it was pretty much a Preston reunion back at Heidelberg back then. You had Kemp Webber, you had Docker playing down there as well. Pasco, I think, was there for a little bit.
Yes, he was.
We had Fab.
Big Bomber.
Bomber. I actually saw a picture. I sent him a picture of him when he's back in the Heidelberg days, since he's a young, svelte bloke. So I sent a picture. He's pretty happy with that. Yeah. No, I said he was a very strong forward back when we were playing at Preston. But we were never that. We were always thinner when we were younger, mate. So it doesn't matter who it is. I think we all look the same as what we used to.
Where now, Phil? What are you up to now?
Down at St Mary's, actually. A great mate of mine, Trevor Little's coaching the under-19s. Our sons are all at that age in the under-19s, so go and help him out down there, and then just roll in with the seniors and help the forwards in there.
They're another strong club. We were talking the other day, it might have been you and I at the footy, saying St Mary's are heavily on the way up. They're just going to be a Division 1 side. It's a matter of time. They're a very well-structured club, aren't they?
Yeah, look, for my short time I've been down there, and kids have gone through as juniors, so that's also, one of the pathways that we've sort of come through, and I've coached down there. And it's the Oz Kick. Ben Shelton did a great job in getting a lot of people down. So the whole Oz Kick setup is just fantastic. So hopefully that'll keep filtering through and keeping the boys and girls, because the girls have won 2 in a row, I think.
Yeah, I think they're very, very strong. You got a team of the year captain and
everything. The club's actually going along really well. So it's
look at most of Divi 3, Divi 2. We talk about it all the time. You'd love to have a Division 1 that's got like 20 teams. The amount of people that could play Division 1. Even you could almost have 2 divisions now, with the difference between the lower end of Division 2 and the top end of Division 3 is ridiculous.
We speak about it every week.
And you can say the same about Division 2, that teams are not just coming up and making numbers. Teams are coming up, and we saw South Marine the year before. They went from Division 3, Division 2 straight into finals.
Yeah.
So teams aren't making up numbers anymore. When back in our time, it was kind of like you could kind of guess which teams were going to be there or thereabouts. So, but it was pretty much 2 went up, 2 down. There was always those 4 within the distance of coming up and down. But now you could say, we were talking about 3rd division. You've got your Fitzroy Stars, you've got your Lorimer, Mernda, Ivanhoe. You've got old Paradians are now coming into it. I mean, you put those 5 in Division 2. We saw a practice match.
Ivanhoe, look at the recruits.
Yeah, we saw a practice match, Mernda versus Watsonia, and you wouldn't be able to sit there and pick who was 2nd division, who was 3rd. No. It's just the difference in quality now in the league is just incredible.
You're retired, obviously. Now you're coaching. I've got to ask you the important questions here, right? I'm a bit sick of hearing Matt was a good footballer. I need some dirt. What was his weakness, Phil?
Probably his nose. Dragged him down.
I think that's a lot of weight to be carrying on your head.
I kept my lip dry. So
look, Matt coming up, he was very enthusiastic, very young when I was on the other end of that Preston sort of days, and it was just great to see his enthusiasm and the way he went about his football.
Yeah.
I think I'd give you. When did you get a coach's award, or did I give you
best year?
Best first year? And I think I actually voted on
it. Was it a McDonald's one? Because I think he's still using it.
Still using it.
There's glass houses here.
Our mine storage for the winner.
Storage for the week. You could hibernate.
All right, that's it. That's the end of the fat jokes. All right, we got to get on with the show. We'll come back to you throughout the night and speak to you about a couple of things. We're going to cram this into an hour. So we're going to, Phil, we're going to choose, this is our first week doing it actually in the studio. Cool. We're going to choose the winners for Division 2 and 3 shortly. But before we do that, I want to spend 5 minutes talking about the Laylaw Epping game and the Greensborough Eltham game. Bonners, we trekked down to Laylaw, and irrelevant of the result, I just want to say Laylaw, what they put on for us the night before and what they put on for their supporters the other night was absolutely A grade. The club ran it as well as I could. Wally, who I haven't had a chance to catch up with since we were there the other day, absolutely outstanding. Lance, Shane, Anne in the canteen, all the girls in the canteen. We got to do our Anne Cole Award out there. Yep. I seen Ian contacted her the other day online, which was great.
To try and get her in front of
the camera. We had to bail her up. She's not a big fan, but what a good game it was. I actually thought that Laylaw were in it all the way up until, probably 2 minutes into the last quarter. It was about 26 points at 3/4 time, and Lance's address was, I reckon we're still in. If we can snag the first couple of goals, we got a game. I reckon he was right. They probably just ran out a puff. Epping had a little bit more up their sleeve, and so they should. You know, they're tipped to, you know, definitely play finals. What was your take on the game?
I actually thought that the first half I found that Epping actually tried to bomb it far too early. So they were kicking it down and, you know, picked off every time I went forward. But I felt like the third quarter was when probably 5 minutes into the third quarter, you could see Epping was really much on top.
Yeah.
But the way they delivered it to their forward line, it was just easy pickings. Once they lowered their eyes, they were hitting targets. Blokes were converting for goals. So I reckon probably, and I listened to Brad Hollow 3/4 time, and he was pretty much spot on that they had something like 19 or 21 inside 50s for, I think it was like 1 goal free or a couple of points, and they just didn't get bang for their buck. So they gave, and Layla never stopped coming. So
their defensive game was strong.
But even the 50 points down, you would have sat there and gone, if you had gone and not looked at the score, you probably thought, geez, that's a bad, you know, it's a great 4-goal loss.
Yeah.
But just in the end, I think there was some junk goals the last 10, 15 minutes.
Yep.
And it went from something like 30 points to 50 pretty quickly.
Yep.
A lot of young, I spoke to Brad afterwards, there's a lot of young kids that they keep running and running and running. It's the reason I stopped playing. I couldn't chase them anymore.
Yeah.
So, but there were a lot of young blokes at Epping, but they just used the ball better in the last quarter. And and I felt at times that Layla just couldn't quite get over that half-forward line.
I thought with Layla, they were outstanding. I thought Nathan Parks was absolutely amazing. He was best on ground for me.
Yeah.
And that's in a losing side.
Yeah.
I thought he
had 30 marks.
Effort, he was everywhere. He was an outstanding player. I even thought Justin Bentley was amazing. Luke O'Keefe and Hayden Hunt came over from North Heidelberg, won the BNF in the reserves, come over to play some more senior footy. He stood up straight away, and we were there. He was announced in the leadership group, which good on Hayden. You know, sometimes it's hard to make that leap to go down a division to get more time, but I got to tell you, he's got some skills and will slot into a lot of sides. And if Layla can hold on to him, that'll be great. Special mention to Xavier Whitnell for 2 reasons. One, it was his first senior game, and 2, he rucked most of the day.
Pretty much, yeah.
And whilst he probably lost, you know, more than 50% of his contest, he didn't give up. And he started using his body. I was saying to Lance after the game, he turned his body out. He'll have learnt so much out of that game. A lot of pressure coming in when your dad's an assistant coach and your uncle's the coach, and first game, but I actually thought Xavier did pretty well. Xavier, that's the last time I'm speaking about you this year. You drive me nuts. Another $50 fine for him. He keeps asking to come on the show.
They should spin the wheel after they did last week.
They did. Oh, that wheel was
I just actually tend to think, like, we saw them at the start of pre-season, and we spoke to Lance and Shane, and just trying to hit the targets. I reckon the difference you'll find it won't be the effort. It won't be, you know, giving up to pushing to the end. What it'll be is skills.
Yeah.
And the difference I felt in the end was just skills. The ability to hit a target by the end, and the switching of the play of Epping was just that much more polished than Layla.
It was.
But you tend to find that if you looked at them from the start of pre-season to now, God helps what it's going to look like at the end of the year. They're going to surprise quite a few teams. And one day you'll sit there and go, mate, this has been coming for about 8 months. And now you're starting to see the sprouts.
I think Brad, who I think is a fantastic coach, I think he was shocked a little bit how they came out.
Yeah.
And
that
was
2.5 quarters to shake it.
It was close for a while. I thought for Epping, Jordan Wilkins was excellent. Like, he was their best player. Aquilina was great. And Seb Latina, I thought he was fantastic. He was everywhere and really made a huge difference and really got them back into the game. I thought he was the key to make sure that they just extended their lead. So that's our wrap up on that first game. We didn't get down to Greensy. I had a spy at the game who says they were both in it till half time. That was a very competitive game, but the experience of Greensborough just shone on, and I think it ended up being 109-60.
It's the same thing. You look at scores now. The games can change so quickly. You'll end up kicking 5 goals in 10 minutes when just at the end of the game, it's the ones that can polish off at the end of you. I feel like the first few rounds, and I know when I played football, if you're 4 goals down with 10 minutes to go, you tend to drop your head a little bit until you get into, say, your 4th or 5th game, then you start to get your game going. So I tend to find that these early results, you will find these 40, 50 points just because teams are getting 5 goals down, 10 minutes to go, and you're like, oh, it's the early start of the year. And
it was a hot day.
Yeah,
it was boiling.
Mate,
and conditions would have been tough. I feel like, you know, when you run that first game of the year out, I actually reckon it's one you notch off that we're running our legs in. Would you agree?
Oh, look, it's always been one where, you know, it doesn't matter how much running and training you're doing, it's that body contact that takes it right out of you in the second and third repeat efforts and the tackles and the chases. as much as you like to say you do that at training and it's match sim, you're not going in as hard as round
It's
one.
never the same.
But you run through the cone at training, you don't run through the cone.
Yeah.
It can be 5 or 6 minutes where the ball's around you. And we were speaking on the week, I reckon the first quarter of the first game of the year is the worst quarter of the year because you just, after half time, I feel like you get your breath back. But in the first quarter, like 20 minutes in, you're just like, I reckon I'd try and get a yellow card just so I can get 20 minutes rest.
You're not
and come back here.
Well, I think all these sides will run themselves into a bit of match fitness, which you can't beat. Good on Eltham. It sounds like they had a really good contest the whole way. We're just going to go off the league's best here. They had Greensy, they had Panna McCubbin, Ethan Luke, Brindley, Ferranto, and Eltham had Byron Malloy. Jesse Donaldson apparently had a cracker game, and Culligan. So I think overall the guys had, it's out of the way. They got a week off. They can breathe until they come back, which is going to be good for those sides, and a great first hit out. And Good Friday, what a great idea.
I was about to say, like, we're talking about the game at Laylaw, but the amount of people there that were there on Friday was just fantastic. It was just, there would have been 800-900 people there.
More, yeah.
The place was rocking. It was just a great atmosphere to be a part of. You kind of sit there now as a retired footballer and you just get that desire to go and grab a footy, and then it would be rainy one day. I'm like, I'm so glad I'm on this side of the fence. But it was just to be there and just be back to local footy the way it used to be.
It was awesome.
I thought it was fantastic. And I said a massive shout out to Laylaw for what they've done, how they've created it. I know, as I said, Brad Hollow said the same thing. He goes to walk out there and 500 people turned up by the time he'd gone into the rooms and come back out ready to start the next game. So,
and more importantly, well behaved. I didn't see
exactly
all day. It was just amazing. All right, let's before we get out to our shout outs, I'm going to talk very quickly about sponsors. You'll see behind us, these are the guys that have jumped on board with the Footy Show. Great time to remind you, the Footy Show don't make a cent. We're all volunteers here, except Phil hit us up for 1,000 to come on tonight. But we're all volunteers, guys. So these tiles behind us, Nippy's got on with Laylaw as a major sponsor, and we promised them we'd put them up there for the year for supporting local footy. LJL Custom Cabinets was one of the first ones to get on board. Ricky with us. We'll announce something about EA next week. They're going to come on as a major sponsor for every club and how they'll go about it. But if you want one of these tiles, we're going to get these printed shortly. So we're going to prop a banner.
You'll be up for the year?
You're up for the whole year. A tile's $500. Now, that $500, you will write five $100 checks during the year, and it will go straight to the club. You'll get an invoice from the club, and it's all about us getting money direct into the clubs and those that need it the most as well. So that's that one. Now it's time to make some money here. We don't have one of those fancy ads, Phil, here that, like Sam Newman has. We just jump straight into the next one. We're going to go Division 3 for this week. Boys, we're going to have to pick a winner. So, obviously, Laylaw's played. Cross that one out. Should have
pick Epping that one.
Pick Epping.
150.
1 for 1. Phil, you're going to have to lead us off. Kinglake, Fitzroy Stars in Kinglake. If Dane Swan doesn't get the kicked out of him tonight in the match, Kinglake have Dane Swan for this match. Fantastic initiative by Kinglake. Round 1 against the star-studded Fitzroy Star lineup. I think Eddie Betts is available this week. Got a couple of VFL players available. Assad, and these guys have got some quality going on. This is going to be a cracker. Now I'm going to lead. Okay, I'll lead. I'll put my. I'm going to tip what will be perceived to be an upset, but I'm going to go Fitzroy Stars. I think they can away. They can get it done, but I'm going to say 7 points.
7
points.
There you go.
Phil, you'll call.
Up at Kinglake. Look. Fitzroy Stars impressed me a few years ago when I was coaching at Lower. Their whole outfit's, really well-run club. So I'll go with the home side. Just early games up there too. The travel's always a little bit harder. So
the Kangaroos jump across the 50-metre line in the first quarter of the reserves.
So I'll back in the home team.
All right, we're going Kinglake with
I think
Plunks.
I'm going to basically stick with Jacko. I think what he's done to the club the last few years has just been amazing. If they can get Mungara to play this game, we're getting stuck
100
in
games. I know. Mungara, we love
but
Mungara.
I reckon, I really think that Fitzroy Stars are one of the teams that'll just blitz this year.
Could go absolutely either way. Good for Phil to go against us early. Make a note. No more Phil Plunkett.
Let's just see what happens.
All right, let's jump into the next one. New side into the league. Old Pradians versus Heidelberg West. I actually thought about this one during the day. I can't split it. I actually think Heidelberg West are going to be a much better outfit this year. Old Paradians got Sam Gilmore, or both Gilmore boys. They've got some great players coming through. They're an unknown quantity.
Yeah,
I'm just going to have to go Heidelberg West on this one because they're just unknown. I know that's just, I'm going to make the call, and I'm going to say 21 points Heidelberg West.
I'll go with the old boys.
Yep,
the old
Paradians.
With Sammy and Will. Look, my time down there was terrific, and it was always one of those things. You sit in the social club at Parade, and you look at the white picket fence, and everything's going
so
on,
good, isn't it?
And the ground is always in immaculate condition. That in due course they'll have a really good following, and I look forward to watching Old Paradians Bundura in a Plenty Road Stoush,
as they get there,
as they move on their way up.
Look, I was at the ground pre-season, just to interrupt you, and I've spoken to their president, their coach. We did a few interviews down there, and I seem to run into the Old Paradian boys at every game. Those boys are doing their research, and they're absolute gentlemen. They're a very well-run organisation with a lot, including gyms and the best grounds available to them. They're going to be a force.
Yeah.
This could easily go the other way, 100%. I think you're right. I think it could be definitely go the
I've
way.
got to go purple, green, and blue for sure.
Oh,
I can't go, but I'm with Phil. One of the great things of being a Parade was playing on Garvey Oval. It's just a magnificent football ground to play footy on. So even when I was in the under-19s at Old Paradians, it was you just love playing football there. And I think it's more of an advantage than people think, because there's a certain wind that goes in, it's not your normal everyday wind. It seems to swirl a little bit at Garvey. So I reckon the home ground advantage there. And also too, you'll find that, remember how big Heidelberg West's ground is?
Yes.
So
very different.
From chaining that over pre-season, I think once you come to a bit of a smaller ground, I think your structures have to change a bit.
Yep.
And it does take you 3 or 4 games to actually get used to that. So
for me, I'm outvoted on this one. Let's move to Reservoir and the other news side, Ivanhoe, the Hoers.
He won't pick us if we you won't invite us back if you don't pick them.
So I've got to tell you, they're another great club I visited. Their president, Pete Rule, is a legend. He maybe hold a Collingwood Premiership Cup. I'm still feel dirty. I'm dead old up, Phil. It's not right. But look, I'm just going to go Ivanhoe. I actually think they're going to be a strong side. I've left them out of my top 4.
No.
And I'm pretty confident I'm going to live to regret that. They're an unknown quantity. But I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say Ivanhoe by 36, which will probably upset the Reservoir coach immensely. But I haven't seen enough from Reservoir to change my mind. I think a 30 plus. I know they're all the best, but Ivanhoe for me, 36.
I'll go with the Ivanhoe as well. It's a classy little outfit down there. So well-run club. I know that a few builders that are involved down there, and they've got a good source and good backing. So hopefully we'll see them also come up the ranks in the next few years.
They're going to be pretty special. I've got a feeling they're going to be the surprise packet of the Abonners.
I think there'll be a victory lap down Boulevard, so I'm pretty sure they'll get this done, and I actually think they'll win it pretty easily. We were down there, and you were talking about the classy outfit. It just, the place itself, it just screams professionalism. We listened to the coach before training and introducing the leadership group, and the buy-in from these guys is, for me, of all the teams pre-season, these are the ones that these are the guys that actually impressed me the most.
Yeah.
So
I think of all pre-season, they're the most professional outfit we visited, and that's no disrespect.
You're in Ivanhoe too, so there's no that second class.
I reckon they get a bit of commission off the local house sale. I live in South Morang. You're getting a little bit more for your commissions off the houses up there. All right, let's move on. Match of the round, I reckon. Old Eltham Collegians versus Moondah. Moondah's my tip to win the flag. Eltham is, I think the league and the coaches, or maybe it was the coaches, not the league, rated them, Eltham, as one of the favourites to win it. This is going to be a close game, so I am a Rob Fletcher fan, and I love what he's done and what he's built. I love everything about his passion, and he's done enough for me to say Moondah by a point.
Ooh.
I'll agree with the Moondah.
Yep, great.
But also, like I said, mid-time at Parade, the old Eltham Collegians model was something that they'd looked too, and how the club was turning around, and that's probably the way that the old Paradians had sort of headed. So they've got a great model, great up and coming, but I think just Mernda will be just probably too strong.
I think you're right. Bonners, what do you got for me?
I reckon that there's a fair pat on the back for the league for this, but what the teams have brought into Division 3 this year is just going to increase massively improve the standard of football. And
100%.
I just think that, having these guys into the competition has just elevated this third division even more from, the guys we're talking about Fitzroy Stars and things like that. But I just think it's fantastic that the expansion and these clubs coming across. But I do still have massive faith in Fletch. I think what he does and the way he coaches and the way we've been down there a few times, for me, he's got those boys humming. We saw Nipper wasn't able to finish the game, but I think
around 6 he's due back. Yeah.
But geez, I tell you what, for not having there, geez, they were really, really good playing against a Division 2 team. So if it's Mernda for me, but probably within a couple of goals, but I still think they get it done.
If this goes the other way, I am then not going to tip against Old Eltham for a while, because I think I buggered up their number 3 pick in my top 10, and I'm probably not going to be loved down there. I think Brent McCaffrey might want to rip my head off. But look, they've got a quality outfit as well. We're splitting it by a point, or I am anyway. I think these two could play off in a flag other than Fitzroy Stars or King Lake or Ivanhoe. I don't know. It's a tough one. All right, that's the end of our Division 2. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. Back in 30 seconds. We need to freshen up Bonner's makeup.
At the Northern Footy Show, we are proud to announce LJL Custom Cabinets as our partner in sponsoring the Top Gun Goal Kicking Challenge. Rick and his team at LJL Custom Cabinets are the #1 choice for kitchens, cabinets and all custom work. Support the local businesses that are supporting grassroots footy. Contact Rick today.
All right, we're back, as I get caught out every week. Just talking a little bit too much.
It's good you pulled your pants up in time. I'm happy with that. So
Bonner's going to do a couple of shout outs here, okay?
Yeah.
Before we go back and have a chat to fabulous Phil. We got Stephen Heckers over from Belgium at the moment.
Can I just see how you wrote Belgium on here?
No, you can't. I didn't use
Belgin.
Yeah, Belgium. Well,
I only just saw
you, right, bro?
I only just saw that. I'm like, where's he from?
You're going to pay for that. Stephen Hecker is over from Belgium, not Belgium, and he's here, came over and said good day to us the other day at the footy, and that was absolutely amazing. His T-shirt's ready for him. While you're here, mate, give us a shout out. Hit me up on Facebook. I'll come and catch up, have a coffee with you. I love having. I've just had another guy in Ireland's just gone home with a T-shirt. He's going to take photos of his Northern Footy show in front of a couple of
become the new budgie smugglers.
Yeah, it is. It is the Aussie way, the Northern Footy Show shirt.
The old Parramatta shirt. You'll be a Northern Footy Show now and everything around the world.
Didn't they have Benny Elias? But we've got Matt Bonner today. It's not the same, is it? Actually, I think he was a Tiger. Anyway, ask his mum. I know. Oh, Matthew, I love him. The best footballer ever. Have you heard it as well? Have you?
No, I loved it. I loved it. She was a beautiful.
We do. She's lovely. They are a lovely family.
She did the food for us on Thursday and Friday. Yeah. So,
Melissa, your sister, is top of our fan list at the moment. She's on top of the points for liking posts. So we love Melissa. All right. So
got nothing to do with you though.
Nothing to do with me. Yeah, I don't think she really likes you. That's what she's telling me. So yeah, good on Stephen for that. Now, this is a little bit self-serving.
Yeah.
I got a bit of a discount on a haircut before the show last week. So Classic Barber in Plenty Valley. I'm all for cash for comments. From Plenty Valley. Classic Barber, Ivan is my man. Gave me the shave, the hairing before the Layla one. I forgot to do the shout out.
Where are they
in Plenty Valley, right up the top where that car is out the front. As you walk out on
as you're going out to the food area.
My favourite barber
is
very,
very busy there.
Gave me a $10 discount, and the things I'll do for $10 is just endless. So big shout out
to him. Couldn't make you look any better.
If he doesn't give me $20 on the next one, this is his last shout out. I'll tell you right now. Now, this is an odd one. We do this for love. We miss playing footy, and this is our way of just being involved. But I want to say pre-season has been amazing. The amount of people that have come up to us, and the Layla Epping game was out of control. There's a couple of mean-looking fellas that come and said, "Hey, you," and I'm like, "Oh shit, here we go." And he was like, "I just want to say we love the show. Keep it up." And we've had so much love at Epping Layla game. It was insane, and we are really just ecstatic that everyone's appreciating the show. Someone gave us a good write-up on Big Footy. I heard today. I don't read Big Footy, but someone was telling me about it, Georgie. And but overall, we are really grateful, and that means a lot to us because we invest about 20 hours a week into this monitors to get it right, and it feels like we're part of a team. And as per my football career, I'm still the fattest when the season starts,
and the least talented.
I wasn't gonna focus on that. All right, now let's get back to Phil. Phil. Hard questions.
Okay.
Who was the best coach you ever played under?
Played under? Probably Mark Williams.
Okay.
Yeah, my time down at...
Name dropping.
Oh, no, the other one.
The other one.
Right, okay.
He ended up at Richmond or Melbourne.
He did end up at Melbourne.
Yep.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, and we had a tough time at Preston. We were, funded very poorly, and and that was just the times and things like that. But it always, made. I think we won one game for the year, but it was always a really good environment to be at, and a lot of them are long-time friends.
Yeah,
from that time, and he had a great deal to do with galvanising the group.
Yeah.
And making it a place.
So he's influential, definitely.
Yeah. Yep.
Best player. Who's the best player you played with?
Best player I've played with. Matty.
No. There's no chance I'm accepting that.
I'm not even accepting that.
Look, probably there was a few. Robbie Majorana.
Oh yeah.
He was terrific.
Captain Night Guy too. He's a legend. He's down at Bundy now.
He reckons he got ripped off. He was going for a three-peat, but
I'll ask him. I'll ask him.
So he was always phenomenal sort of player to play with around that time, and Christian Pascoe was another one. They were on ballers that played the modern game probably a little bit back then. So
my last for me would be Shannon Gibson was probably one of the footballers. He'd probably be the year
14-10 he kicked if you ask him.
But he kicked on the G. I still remember he kicked a left foot goal in a pre-season. We played Seymour. He was up at Seymour. He kicked it on his left, and mate, for 20 minutes he just gave it to me.
Really?
It was like 55 out on his left, but for skilled wise, he was by far the most.
Had you covered?
He had everyone covered. I've never seen better skills in VFL than Shannon Gibson. So
now this is an important one. If you had to go into a punch on out of everyone you play with, it was going to be on. Let's say you're playing at Heidelberg and it's a grand final, and you need to take someone in to just fix them up. Who's your go-to guy? Who I'm going to win this fight.
I reckon Andy Martin.
Right, okay.
Back when I was in Heidelberg days, I'd even coaching him. I'd called him Angry Martin.
Right,
because he'd just get to a point, and then he'd just
he'd flip.
He'd lose it.
All right.
Yeah.
Because I heard before you got it, you were the crazy one.
I've got a story. It was funny how you were talking about the first game. I remember the first game of football I ever played footy. We played a pre-season game against Box Hill. I don't think you remember it, but I reckon halfway through the second quarter, I've gone to pick the footy up. It's gone past me. And I just see this red flash go straight past me. And the next thing I look across, and there's two blokes laid flat. One of them was Andrew Tranquilli, which you got 2 weeks for hitting. And the other one was Christian Pascoe, who you would have got life had you actually got reported for that. It's the first time, which we talk about hardness. Like it wasn't one of those, it's one of those hits this year where you get 15 weeks, but it wasn't anything untoward. The fact it was just jumped up and took it right out. But geez, I remember Pas just sitting there, looked at him and gone, he didn't even know who he was. He took him out. But that's, for me, as I said, one of the two toughest players I played football with, just because of that hardness. So if there was someone I'd take, he'd probably know number one. And the other one would be, Darren Cowell, who I was lucky enough to play with for a year. Two blokes who couldn't get on the rides at SeaWorld, but geez, I think it's the most toughest footballers I've ever seen. So if I had to pick one, he'd be pretty much one of my.
How many weeks had you spend suspended, Phil?
2 weeks.
Not too many. Yeah. I think my last game at Preston, I knocked myself out, knocked out a teammate.
6 weeks for knocking yourself.
I got 4. It made me look really good though. I did come into my first season at Diamond Valley at Heidelberg with a 4-week suspension hanging over my head.
Wouldn't have been the first or the last.
No, but that year he wasn't. I think you were injured a few times.
Yeah.
But he didn't get. That was the first time the first report just absolutely killed him. So it was very funny.
Look.
So if you could play again, because this is the hardest bit, as we retire, what would you do different? Would you do anything different?
Probably as I've developed and you can watch the game a little bit more, I'd probably changed the way I sort of did play, because you can see the game unfold, and as a coaching side of things, you're not just see ball, get ball as a player. It's opening up, and so I'd probably wouldn't go in as hard. I don't think I'd need to.
Yeah.
The way that the game's unfolding and where to lead and leading.
Certainly changed, hasn't it?
Well,
it's a very different game to what we
develop. I mean, how do you see football now? I mean, I look at it now and think the amount of running these people do now, I reckon that I would find it a bit harder in the modern game than we did, because back then it was kind of a little bit more structured. You kick the ball across or you keep running, where now the structures of getting
about the modern game and how it is a lot like a game of chess.
Yep.
He goes, if they've got numbers behind the ball, what's the point of bombing it in?
Correct.
Because I was a bit disillusioned when it sort of started to go switch and all that sort of stuff. And he opened my eyes right up to it, and sort of did say it's like a game of chess, and you've got to move pieces to find gaps and that sort of stuff, and change the angle. So a lot of my coaching is also influenced through him and what he taught me. So watching the modern game now, you sometimes look at it, you only get the full picture when you're there.
Yeah.
And you look at it and you go, like, you got 36 blokes in 1/4 of the ground.
Yeah.
And yet there's still guys tailing, right down. And I think I was watching one of the footy shows the other day, and they did a thing on Jamie Elliott. And where the ball started, he ran 130 metres.
Oh, my Lord.
Flat stick, like running and then leading back to get inside forward 50 in time to take a mark.
Yeah.
And then slotted the goal.
That's a game changer in
but
life.
The positions now are almost irrelevant. They're just there to put on a name so you can actually name it each week. You've got 6'4" on ballers, which weren't heard of back in the day. You've got ruckmen who are just as good as on ballers. That wouldn't happen back. We just had big dumb blokes playing football, in the ruck. So the modern game has definitely evolved into that quick, rapid, and the rules have allowed for that too now. Like your kick-ins now, you can literally come out straight away. You can kick over the next line.
Yeah.
You don't have to kick it to yourself, what we had to do back in the day to get out of the square. But I definitely think, and you can see the carry on to local footy as well. I mean, how quick it is on the week. We saw the game on Friday. Look, it zips around much more than it ever did in our time.
A lot has changed. All right, we're going to move forward here. Try and get through this in the hour. We allocate, and the internet connection's been a bit yucky today, so I hope everyone's hearing us all right. I want to speak very quickly, and I just got a message here. So Diamond Creek, I'm going to the Diamond Creek game Saturday night. They have a market on there from 3 to 7, which is going to be awesome at the game. Now, they're also having a tribute to Jesse Baird before the game, which will be fantastic. President down there, Sean, is up for a big night. We're going to go down, do a couple of interviews, have a chat, watch a great game of footy as well, which is going to be amazing. We're about to sort of go through that game in a second. Panton Hill at the same time have their internet superstar coming on playing that game. I'm going to tell you his name in a minute. I'll flick through my notes, but he's at the same game. It's going to be a huge night down there. The games at Diamond Creek under lights are really great. I think if you've got nothing on to do to Saturday night, get down and support local footy. There's a plethora of games on this weekend, and we'll jump into those tips straight away. So let's get into it. No pressure, Phil. Watsy versus your side, St. Mary's.
I'd love to see him tip a guess and just to rev them up.
Well, you can lead us, Phil. What do you got for us?
Oh, look, just from what I've seen, Fab's done a terrific job with the boys over the pre-season break. They're looking pretty fit. So, they've structured up pretty well. So we're hoping that, and they do perform, they said, at Binnack really well. They enjoy the ground. So, looking for a win.
All right, so you're going St. Mary's for a win.
Yeah, I'd have to say the same. So Fab's in charge, and he's obviously got them well structured. He was very much a talented footballer. So I have no doubt that he's passed that on as a coach as well.
Have a lot of young guns down there. I'm really impressed with St Mary's off season in a big way. So I'm going to go St Mary's as well, and I'm going to say St Mary's by 27. So they're going to start the season off well there. Lower Plenty, South Morang. South Morang is, they've got to be, with the amount of talent they've got on the park, one of the premiership favourites for sure.
Yep. Which is amazing. As I said, 2 years ago they were playing third division. So to come up now and to be an actual threat for the Division 2.
They're on the march to amazing. Division 1. Yep. They really are. So Phil, kick us off. Lower Plenty, South Morang.
I just think, South Morang will probably be too strong. Lower always play well on their ground, but I think just with the way that they've recruited so far this year, South Morang have got to be right up there.
What do you got for me, Bonners? Same. All right, I'm going to go out on a ling and get my first kick in the face here.
Boys are playing there too, so
I'm going to go South Morang, and I actually reckon South Morang are going to get this done by 58 points.
Yep.
I reckon it's going to be a bit of a shellacking. I just think that they're
it's a small ground.
They are a powerhouse this year. They're going to be very hard to knock off. Whittlesea Lorimer. This is a game that I'm probably going to try and get down to during the day. Yep. Everyone knows I have a little love affair going on with Jimmy Atkins at the moment, but he's a ripper fella. And I want all the very best from him. But Whittlesea's come down from Division 1. Whittlesea have this uncanny ability to bounce straight back up.
Yeah.
But they didn't win a game last year. I think that it's going to be a tough game. I'm going to open here, boys. I'm going with an upset. I reckon Lorimer get up by 6 points.
Yep.
I think the speed of Lorimer, it will be the statement of the year if they get up. So I'm going to go Lorimer by 7.
Look, that'll be a great effort. Look, you look at different clubs and where they've been at and what level they've been at, and sort of probably the results, in the other 2 games would have been that, Epping had played at a higher level and intensity.
Yep.
So that's what I'm thinking here with Whittlesea. They've just come out of Division 1. That they're still playing at Division 1 pace.
Yep.
As the year goes on, it might come down, but I just think that they'll be still chirping at that Division 1 pace, and I reckon they'll just get over the line.
Just so we're clear, Jimmy gets it instant 20 points. So if it's close, I'm going Jimmy. Whittlesea, look, you're talking about the side that come down and the side that come up. It should be clear favouritism.
Yeah, for me, I believe the exact same thing. So when a team comes down, we always downgrade their ability because they're back in Division 2. But they're up there for they're like as good as Division 2 is. There is a bit of probably more gulf between Division 2 and Division 1 than what there is between 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So Whittlesea coming down, I still think get done pretty easy just from that whole experience of seeing what the Division 1 teams do. Having that experience for the year, and a lot of the blokes are still there. So, they'd be pretty keen to get back up there and have another crack.
And they should be good enough, but it's my underdog tip of the week. I think Lorimer shocked the world here. All right, Northcote Park, Thomastown. Harder to pick than a broken nose, this one. Give
Not
it to
mine.
me, Phil.
He's a fist.
Straight up like this.
Let's not get looks problems here, mate.
Northcote Park at home is always, a tough ask. The night game under lights.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd go with the home side.
Yep.
Just out of that way. I know Thomastown have recruited well, and they've got a good style of play and that sort of stuff. But I do believe that just at home, Northcote Park will get over the line.
I always believe the first 2 or 3 rounds, the ones that have got the people coming in, I always think they find it harder to gel just until they get to know each other.
Yeah.
It usually takes 4 or 5 games. So if you wanted to have a team that's recruited well, you want to get them in the first 2 or 3 rounds. And Northcote Park and Bill Laurie Oval is one of the beautiful places to play football, and under lights it'll be superb. So
Northcote Park,
they're very hard to beat in general at home, Northcote Park. So.
Now, I have no idea about football, which is a high probability, or I'm just being a rebel. I'm going to have Thomastown home by 17. I reckon Tom.
Are you the kiss of death in the paper?
I lose most tipping competition. Yeah. I just think what Thomastown's brought in this year with James Lacente and those guys, I just think it's the difference for him this year. I think Northcote Park's going to be thereabouts. They've got a lot to prove this year, and they've done a right off season as well. But I just think Thomastown, they're going to be my roughie for the year. They could win a flag. I just think it's that simple with Thomastown. They could win a flag. So if they get it all together and injuries stay right. So I'll go Thomastown and by 17. And then we come to what I think is going to be a great night, regardless of how it goes, is Diamond Creek versus Panton Hill at Diamond Creek under lights. While you guys talk about it, I'm going to find this other guy from Panton Hill as well, so I can tell you his name. I'm not much of an internet guy. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I'll be back in 20. Who you got for me, Phil? Pick a winner.
Look, the way that Diamond Creek structure up is terrific. AT's got them running really well structured behind the footy. They do, defensively set up really well and make it hard to score. I think we kicked a point when I was coaching Lyle Plenty.
Yep.
They just choked us and did that. So I can't see them losing that ability.
No.
But if Panton Hill, they've got a dark horse, haven't they?
Yes, they've got Prime Train. He's got not a bad
Train.
rig on him, and I don't know, you probably can't see that, but it doesn't matter. If you go to the Panton Hill website, go and like and follow the club, a ripping club. But Prime Train's coming for one game only. He got a bit of an odd hairstyle, this bloke. I've got to tell you.
What's the mullet, mate?
We're
out of it, yeah. Young
He's
kids
got
are wearing that now since Bailey Smith. I swear to God, every
his
second
fault.
one wants a mullet. It is.
It's his
It is
fault.
dead set his
I'm going to
fault.
say my kids have never donned the mullet, thank God. But
I've got 3 girls, so they have a regular mullet. They call it a ponytail, though.
all right, so you're going Diamond Creek there, Phil. What do you got for me, Bonners?
Yeah, I pretty much the same. I always find at the early parts of the year that it's really hard to pick against a team at home.
Yep.
So you're starting off, you've been training on that ground, you've got a little bit of familiarity. So I reckon, between the two, you have to pick Diamond Creek, especially when it's home first few games.
If you've got any questions for Phil, now the time is to send it in. They will come up and we'll read them out at the end in about
They have to be
3
PG, though.
minutes. Have to be PG if you're
We've had a
I
few
can't
come
put
in
them
the
on.
time and say, we can't repeat that.
All right, I'm going to go with Diamond Creek. I think Diamond Creek probably win this. This is going to be the blowout of the round for me. I think Diamond Creek are premiership favourites. It's going to take a lot to knock them off this year. If they can keep all their people on the ground, Diamond Creek win the flag for me. That's what I said in my selections earlier. I think Diamond Creek by probably 50 or 60.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a big margin, but a great night.
It's amazing to see the first rounds. It's always just the feeling of where they're going to be. You get a really good look at the teams for the first game. As I said, we saw Laylaw and Epping last week, and we kind of, when you walk into the game, we've spoken to the Whitnalls, and they said, look, we are going to try and be competitive, but they're more than competitive. So some of these teams, you sit there and go, look, they're probably going to struggle in the early games against these top sides.
Yeah.
I reckon the best time to get a team is early.
Yeah.
Because I reckon everyone's still trying to find their feet, and you can pick up those wins that you probably wouldn't normally see in, say, July, August, when you're getting closer to the business end. So I reckon there's going to be, in the first 3 or 4 rounds, you'll probably find there's going to be a few surprises.
Yep, I think you're right. Now, you're a very lucky man here, Phil.
God, here we go.
I do joke of the week each week, okay? And
I'm
you're
not
going to
excused.
give me a rating out of 10.
I get a joke every coaching day.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you want to lead joke?
No,
No, you should lead it. If
My
you've got
daughter's
a,
had one. If you only have to beat my daughter's one, so yeah.
all good.
it was all right, but
Yeah.
it wasn't as good as mine.
I couldn't even say the name.
We love Sienna, but joke telling represents to dad. All right, so the teacher. This is a Johnny joke. Teacher says to Johnny, if you've got 2 cats and another 2 cats and another 2 cats, how many have you got? Johnny goes, easy, 7. He goes, no, Johnny, I'll make it easier for you. If you got 2 apples and another 2 apples and another 2 apples, how many apples? That's cats and 2 more cats. How many you got? He goes, 7. She goes, Johnny, how can you do that? It's the same as the apples and oranges. How do you come up with 7? He goes, because I already got a bloody cat at home.
Wow.
I actually reckon they're getting better, Bonners. Give me a rating out of 10.
I'd give that a 7.
All right, it's
Solid 7.
definitely your last show.
Yeah.
All right.
Says a lot about you,
that was
doesn't
pretty
it?
good. 9. All right, now a couple of things. Next week, we're at North Heidelberg Live. We understand last week at Laylaw, we just couldn't get the internet right. Going to get in contact with Elmsey and Warren and just make sure we got good enough internet. We need around about 30 megabits or whatever it's called to make it happen for the live shows. But we're out there, and that's going to be the preview to the massive game between Heidelberg and North Heidelberg, which is going to be a killer diller.
Yeah.
It's going to be a special game. I'm really looking forward to that game.
Yep.
So
We'll be there.
we'll be there, and big week next week. So let's get down there. Phil, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I've got to tell you, you feel like part of the panel. You might be back a few times yet. and it was really good to have you in. And look, to everybody out there, I think I didn't turn the comments on, so please don't ask. First time working this, but it's awesome to have ex-players of the Diamond Valley and the Northern Footy League in, and it's really important. We have a great following through the DVFL Legends page. They're awesome. They communicate well with us. Kev Brown generally gives me a bit of a hiding once or twice a month, but he's eased off lately. He must be going soft. We'll have to get Kev in. Kev, you have to come in on the show and talk footy with us. But thanks so much for coming in today, mate. We really appreciate it. It's so good to see you again. Sorry you had to put up with Bonners, guys. That's going to conclude our footy show for this week. Huge week of footy ahead. Can't wait to be reporting on that next week at sunny North Heidelberg down at the Kennel. We've got a big game there. Sponsors, don't forget, if you want to get on board, you also get on a lot of our videos and all of these things, and all the money goes to the club. You'll only ever write a check direct to a club. We don't take any money except for haircut discounts. Bonners, any parting words for the show for Phil?
No, as I said, I think I said to you at the start of when we did the footy show, there was always two blokes that for me were people we'd love to have on. Phil was one, Jacko was the other. We've had them in the last few weeks, but I don't speak a lot about the influences I had, but in my first year at Preston probably shaped my footy for about 5 or 6 years after that. You come straight out of under-18s. I had a bit to do with Phil and Jimmy, his brother I played footy with at Old Paradians, but just it took my football from just a general footballer to just that toughness about it. So he led from the front, and one of the influences of why I changed my ways and probably did stupid things by the end of it and run back with a flight. I probably didn't do a lot of that in under-18s. And so for me, it was a massive influence for me and a person I and I'm glad that we actually had onto the show. So.
Yeah, awesome. And thanks for coming on, Phil. Your reputation is amazing, and I'm glad to hear you're still involved in footy and giving back to the game that we all love. Until next week, guys, we will see you at North Heidelberg. Have a great round of footy to everyone, and we'll see you all next week. Have a good one.
Thanks.